It's been a while, huh? Hello, everyone. My name is Zoe, and welcome to another Dead by Daylight commentary. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I have played this game a lot over the years, mainly with my best friend, and we have had a lot of good times and a lot of laughs. But I have a love-hate relationship with this game. Part of me loves it, part of me hates it. But I find that is what makes it charming and why I keep coming back all the time. But this video isn't a review of Dead by Daylight. Instead, I want to focus on some of the horror aspects of the game and how they handle certain things such as visual and auditory hallucinations of the Doctor and the new unknown killer. So for those of you that are new to my channel, to make a long story short, a few years ago I was actually diagnosed with schizophrenia. I suffer from extreme delusions and hallucinations daily, even when medicated. And lately, I have been playing DBD more often, and one day I stopped and realized that certain horror aspects in the game are actually kind of similar to what I experience in my day-to-day life, such as the hallucinations spawned by the Doctor and the new unknown killer. For those unaware, the Doctor can use his static shocks to make you go mad and begin hearing indescribable voices and visual hallucinations around the map. And the new unknown killer is similar, as he spawns immobile visual hallucinations of himself as he traverses around the map. With that summary out of the way, I wanted to make this video to give my thoughts on how accurate these things are to my own hallucinations, and how they make me feel when I come across them in-game. To jump right in, I honestly feel as though the hallucinations are handled well. I do not feel offended by behavior in any way for them including these in the game. I actually find them very interesting, and it's a good way for people to find out what hallucinations are like in the real world. Well, I say real world. It's really in our minds, isn't it? Well, anyway, starting with the Doctor, I feel as though most players overlook this part of the madness system in his kit. But when at high madness levels, you actually begin to experience auditory hallucinations. I will play a short clip of them here, so listen closely. Turn up the volume and listen closely. You can faintly hear some indescribable masculine voice, but it's hard to make out what he's saying. I've never made this connection before, but that is actually exactly how my auditory hallucinations sound when I'm on a high dose of antipsychotic medication. I hear a muffled, quiet, masculine voice. Though, if I am completely alone in a quiet room, I can sort of make out what they are saying, which is usually something along the lines of, "Run, he knows, run," and so on. Now, of course, without medications, the hallucinations are much worse, and they outright yell at me and tell me to do terrible things, which I will not say. So, I'm glad Behavior took the lighter approach to the auditory hallucinations and didn't make them sound too violent, because it may honestly trigger a bad reaction from me if they were more loud and more serious in nature, or more violent in nature. But as they are in-game right now, they do not bother me. I do find it an odd coincidence that they sound so similar to what I hear in my head. So, in all, they are accurate. Of course, not every person with a psychotic illness, such as mine, hears or sees the same thing. We're all unique. But in my case, it is accurate at the very least. Moving on to the visual hallucinations, when at high madness levels, you begin to see static hallucinations of the doctor's model standing in place. Now, again, I want to stress every person with an illness such as mine is unique and sees and hears different things. But for me, these hallucinations are not very accurate. I do not hallucinate colors. Instead, the figure is purely black in color or void of color. And while they are resembling that of a humanoid, they do not look as human like as the doctor does here. I will put an image on screen of the closest thing to my hallucinations that I have been able to find on the internet. Though, I will say one thing that is accurate with the doctor's hallucinations is that they do not last and are rather short in their time of existence, if that makes sense. I will talk about this more when talking of the next killer, but when I try to physically approach my hallucination or focus on it too much, it will begin to appear staticky and eventually disappear entirely. Now, I am positive that there are some people out there that suffer from hallucinations that would see the doctors as more accurate than I do. I'm lucky in the fact that my visual hallucinations are not very lifelike. I know some people that may hallucinate things that are very distressing, such as a monster from the nightmares, or even a lifelike dead relative. So, all in all, I would say the Doctor is pretty accurate in depicting hallucinations, especially the auditory ones. In my opinion, Behavior did a good enough job here. Moving on to the newest killer in Dead by Daylight, the Unknown. Unlike the Doctor, I don't believe this killer triggers any auditory hallucinations, instead focusing on the visual ones. These hallucinations are much more accurate in my own case, especially with how you deal with them in-game. You have to physically come up to one of the hallucinations in-game and try to touch it. And when you are inches away, it kind of just dissipates into nothing, which, like I touched on earlier, is very accurate to my own experiences. I cannot physically touch my hallucinations, of course, because they aren't actually there, but instead in my mind. So when I tried to reach out and touch my hallucination, it dissolves into static and erases itself from my perceived reality as if it is scared of me. And I feel like that is extremely accurate to how the Unknown's hallucinations are in-game. And I am genuinely impressed at how good of a job Behavior did here, so my hat's off to them for sure. As I sit here and I type this script or read it as I am now, I have an odd feeling in my body. I don't know how to explain it. It's bizarre how something that has bothered me so severely and left me handicapped for years can be brought to life so accurately in a video game of all things. I don't feel bad or afraid when I come across these things in Dead by Daylight, but it's just sort of, I don't know, surreal. The last thing I want from this video is a pity party, but I invite you all to try to imagine being me in my shoes. Imagine living life with the Doctor's auditory hallucinations constantly. Imagine going for a walk to the store and seeing an hallucination on the other side of the street staring at you. It sounds very weird, I'm sure, and I would not wish this illness upon anyone, but if you are curious how they interact with me in the real world, then I recommend trying out Dead by Daylight with a friend, and getting them to play as the Doctor or the Unknown, and keep all of the things that I've said in mind. It may sound scary, but keep in mind, I've lived with this illness for over 4 years now, and quite frankly, I have grown rather desensitized to it all. Dead by Daylight does not bother me. If anything, the only thing in this game that bothers me is the plague and her and the survivors constantly vomiting. I hate that killer. Uh, but anyway, that was all I really wanted to talk about. Maybe no one cares for my opinion, but to my knowledge, there hasn't been a schizophrenia patient that has made a video like this yet. So I wanted to put this out there for anyone that is curious. You never know. Thank you so much for watching. This video idea came to me randomly upon seeing the new PTB, and I just had to make it. I sincerely wish you all happy and healthy lives, and I hope to see you again very soon. Take care, and goodbye.